So imagine you're working your full-time job, working hard for 40 hours, but somebody else has negotiated your salary. Somebody else is the person who sends in your timesheets. Somebody else is the person who makes sure that your check is deposited into your account and that it's correct. And if it's not correct, they're the person who is fighting for you to get the correct amount in your account. If you had somebody like this doing something for you, you would want to make sure that you trust them. You would want to make sure that they have your best interest at heart and that they are going to have you on the forefront, that they're going to make sure that you're getting paid for all of these tasks you're doing for the 40 hours that you're working, and that you could trust them to do that for you. This is the same thing for a medical biller. As a medical biller, providers need to trust us. We are in control pretty much of how much money they make and if they receive that money. Now, of course, they have to do the job. They have to see patients. They have to make sure that they are doing their part. But on our end, we have to make sure that we are sending out the claims, that we are getting the correct amounts back, we're posting payments, that we're following up on claims that weren't paid. We need to make sure that we're doing all of this. And in order to do that, in order to get our foot in the door to do that, we need to be able to gain the trust of the doctor or whomever it is that is hiring us. And sometimes that's not easy. When I first started out and I was looking for clients, sometimes I got discouraged because I felt like, why haven't I got a client by now? Or if I was in a specific situation, I would be like, okay, I need a client, by next month, and it didn't happen. I would get frustrated and I would get discouraged. But that shouldn't happen. We shouldn't do that. But if we really think about it, we have the provider's lifeline, all of their money mostly, in our hands. Especially if this is a private practice and they're the only ones in the practice and this is where their livelihood is coming from. My name is Tamika. I'm a certified professional biller and a certified professional practice manager, and I'm a self-employed medical biller. And I'm going to talk to you today about how I got my first 5 clients. And hopefully you can take something from this and figure out how you can get your first set of clients. Now, of course, I always like to give you a few tips. And the first tip is that you need to kind of have an idea of who you're looking for. So if you're out there just looking for everyone to be your client, then most likely you're not going to get anyone. You kind of need to know an idea of who you're looking for. Are you looking for a hospital, a facility to bill for? Do you want to bill for a private practice? Is it a private practice that has 10 providers versus 1 to 2 providers? What are you exactly looking for? Because again, you can't look for everyone because different people, different facilities have different needs, and you need to be able to cater to those needs. Secondly, this is a numbers game. And for most things in life, it's a numbers game. You're not going to go to one client, one provider, and ask them to do their billing, and they're going to be like, yes. I mean, for the most part, you won't. If you have, then that's great for you. But most people are not just going to go to one provider, and that's going to be the provider that they get. So when you talk to providers, and maybe you might talk to 10 providers and 10 of them say no, they don't need your services or whatever it is, do not get discouraged with that because the 11th provider may be the provider for you. You need to put yourself out there, talk to providers, figure out what they want and what they don't want in order to be able to get your clients. They're not just going to hand you over their lifeline and not know who you are. You also need to shift your mindset. So it's not about the provider hiring you. It's about you getting a client. And you might say, what's the difference with that? But when you think about somebody hiring you, you think about them being in charge, about them showing you what to do, about them telling you what to do, about them basically setting the rules. But when you think about a client, you're thinking more in the fact that you're the head, you're the leader of your self-employed business. You will be the one to set the rules, to set the standards, to make sure that both of you are good fits for each other. So it's not just about being hired as a medical biller, it's about finding a client where both of you can benefit from the services that you're going to provide for them. And I would also recommend for you to start small because your first client doesn't have to be a big hospital with 50 providers. It can be a small private practice with 1 provider, 2 providers, and you can build from there. So you can make sure that you get, your systems and your procedures in place. So when you do start to expand and to scale, you are on the right track and you are doing things correctly. So the first client that I got was through a referral. Now, mind you, I was a medical biller from 2006. So I was a full-time medical biller for a practice. It wasn't my client, it was a practice. My job was a medical biller. But I decided that I wanted to branch out and help more providers because that's what I thought I was doing. So I got a referral from someone that I knew who also worked in the healthcare field. And she knew a doctor who was in a practice with another doctor but wanted to branch out. And with branching out, he needed a medical biller. So she told me about him, she told him about me, and we met and had an interview. In that interview, was I was fresh and new. I'm going to tell you, I did not know what to say or what to do. But we talked, he asked me questions, and he hired me. Now, I didn't know the specialty that he worked for. He was an OBGYN doctor, and I was working for an ophthalmologist. So I didn't know his specialty, of which I told him that I never worked as a OBGYN biller. However, with talking to me, he still felt that I could do the job. I still felt that I could do the job. And so I then got hired. So the first provider that I got was through a referral. And referrals are so important. Now, this referral was important because the person who referred me to this doctor also worked for the doctor. She was a nurse in the hospital where the doctor worked as well. And so when she recommended me, I had a better chance of getting the job than anyone else because she knew him, he trusted her, and so then, in fact, he could trust me. And then after we had the interview, he spoke to me, then that trust built. So one of the first ways for you to get your first client is through a referral. And the only way to get that referral is to let people know what you're doing. Now, if you're getting into the medical billing field, or maybe you have been a medical biller for several years, but as an employee, then you need to let people know what you're doing. If you are deciding to branch out on your own, you need to tell that. Tell that to people like your family, your friends, even people that you don't know. Maybe you're sitting in the post office and you're in the line, you hear somebody talking about healthcare, or you start to talk with somebody about healthcare, and you let them know, yeah, I'm a biller, I do such and such, or this is my specialty, or whatever the situation is. But my point is that you need to talk about what you do in order for somebody to refer you. You can't assume that somebody's just going to tell others about you if you don't give them that open door to do that. So for instance, if you are a bookkeeper and you don't have a bookkeeping business, but you're just a bookkeeper, and I just up and tell my friend who needs a bookkeeper that you're a bookkeeper, you're probably going to be like, I never told you that I was looking for another job, or I never told you that I wanted to have more clients. And most people think like that. They may know that this is your profession, especially if you're already a medical biller. But if you don't let them know that you're out here looking for clients, then they would not refer you. You also need to make sure that you don't assume that other people don't know, people in that field, or they don't know doctors. You don't know who other people know. So this person that you're speaking to could be a friend from high school, and they're a cashier in Walmart. And you would say, I'm not going to tell her anything because, she probably doesn't know any doctors. You surely don't know who she know. Her father could be a doctor. Her husband's cousin could be a doctor. You just never know. Or they might not know the actual doctor, but they may know the office manager in the doctor's office, or, the front desk staff, or someone within the office. So be sure to tell people what you're doing and what you're looking for so that they can then refer you. The second provider that I got was a new provider. And it was also through a referral, but it was through a referral from another provider that I worked for. So unlike the last example, it was through a friend of mine that referred me. But now this one was through a provider. And the provider didn't necessarily refer me directly, but it was kind of like a roundabout way. So I was billing for a provider, and they obviously liked my work, what I did, the services that I provided. And so in doing that, or in liking that, they spoke about me. So they didn't speak about me to say, well, you should go and find out if she can bill for you, but they just spoke about what I could do, how good I was. And that's something that's important, because if the person that you're already working for can actually tell others about how well you do and what services you provide, then that is a step in the right direction and a way for you to get more providers. So in that provider telling people, his colleagues, about me and what I do, that colleague got intrigued. That colleague was like, oh, okay, so this sounds like the person that I need for my new practice. So the provider came to me asking me if I had space to bill for them as a new provider, which was very funny because I was kind of shocked. I just never thought a provider would come to me. I was freshly out. This was my second provider, and I wasn't expecting that. But in doing that, the provider decided to hire me. I let them know I did have space and I would be able to do the billing, and so they hired me. So another way for you to find a new client is to look for new providers. New providers are obviously looking for people to bill for them. They got out of school, or maybe they got out of being in a practice that they were already in, and now they're looking for someone to do their billing for them. Looking for new providers will kind of be more easy because they don't have anyone who's already doing their billing. Unlike the established providers, they are new just like you might be new, and so you both can learn together what's needed to be done. They don't already have in their minds what they think should be done, and so this is a good way to get one of the first clients that you might have as a self-employed medical biller. The third client that I got was through a local advertising. I do not consider myself a salesperson. I don't consider myself to be very good when it comes to, selling things or marketing things. But I decided that I needed to get out there more. Again, if you don't let people know about your services, about what you're doing, then no one's just going to up and come to you. So in doing that, I went around to my local offices, places that I think that healthcare providers would be at. I went to my local hospitals or clinics. I went to the gyms, to bakeries, to different areas where I put up flyers and I gave out business cards. Now, not just putting up flyers or giving out business cards. I actually went to someone in the office. So instead of just putting up your flyer or your business card on a board that has 10 million other flyers or business cards, I actually went to whomever is there. So at the front desk, or if I'm at the bakery and I'm buying some bread, I actually spoke to the person and let them know, or asked them, can I put up my flyer on the door? Can I put up my card here? And that was actually a little strategic because, again, instead of just putting up the card that doesn't have my face, that doesn't have anything to tie you to me, I spoke to somebody in that business. And so the person in the business knows who I am, know what I do. And if they hear someone speaking about it, or they see somebody looking at, the wall or the flyer, and let's say it's a doctor, they can actually say something. They might not even know me from a hole in the wall. Most of them didn't know me at all. But because I actually spoke to them, took the time out to tell them what I do, all of those things help when it comes to getting doctors. Again, you don't know who they know, and so you want to be visible in places where they may be. So think outside of the box. Yes, you can go to hospitals, like I said, clinics, to other doctors' offices, but you can also go to the grocery store, to the gym, to places where they will go. Because although they may seem high and out there, you don't think that they will ever talk to you, they are humans like we are. They go to places like the gas station to get gas and to the grocery store to feed their kids. They do stuff like that as well. So also putting your flyers and your business cards and just informational pamphlets that is about your business and what you do, that will also help you to get your first client as well. And of course, let's not forget about online advertising. So I have also done some ads, and I wouldn't say that it's a lot. I probably did like less than 5% online ads than anything. That has been my lowest way of getting clients. But the way I got my fourth client was through an online ad. So I posted an online ad on Facebook. And to be honest with you, I really didn't think anything of it. I did not think I was going to get any type of hits, but I did actually get a few hits, probably out of the 30 days that I did the online ad. I think I got about 4 to 5 hits, and one of them actually turned out to be a client or to become a client, but it wasn't right away. So let me explain. When I first sent out the ad, number one, when it comes to online ads, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things, you kind of have to know who you're targeting, because they ask you questions like, the age, demographics, the where they're located, different things they ask you about the people that you're trying to advertise to. And so, me being me trying to DIY it, I just kind of put in information that I thought would work, as far as like the age range of people. Again, you don't want to make it too broad, because if it's too broad, then you're probably not going to attract the people that you want to attract. So that might not be the right thing to do. I can't give you too many good examples about this one, because again, this is not the way that I usually do it. It was just something I said, let me see if it would work or not. But after putting out this ad, I did get about 4 or 5 hits. And for the provider that I actually later signed, they were one of them. So we kind of spoke back and forth through the DMs when they first saw the ad, and we talked about different things. I talked about having them set up a consultation, and they actually didn't do it. We spoke about stuff. They asked me a few questions. I answered the questions, but it didn't seem like they were too interested, or it didn't seem like they were able to afford my services at the time, because the provider's wife actually said a few things that made me believe that they weren't able to afford a biller. A lot of times doctors think that billers are very expensive, that they're not going to be able to afford a biller in order to help them. And depending on the prices of your services, and if you don't know how to price services, I can link a video that I did about that above. But they think that it's going to be really expensive, and sometimes they just kind of skip over it because they feel like they can't afford it at the time. And I believe that this provider believed that. So we had a few conversations through the DMs, and then it kind of just blew off. So I didn't think of anything of it. But later on, I think it probably was about 4 to 5 months after we had that conversation, the provider then doubled back and scheduled a consultation with me. The shock that I had when I saw the provider's name come up in my booking schedule, I was just really shocked. But it just goes to show you that it might not be the right time then, but it could be the right time later. So I got that client through online advertising. And again, if you're good with online advertising, or if you think that that's a way that you want to go, then you should also do that as well. As far as how much I spent, it probably wasn't more than $100, because I didn't think that that would work for me in the first place. So I didn't want to spend too much. But again, if you do want to do it this way, know that you're going to have to spend some money in order to get some clients. And the fifth client that I got was through my website, which was through Google Business. So Google Business is, when you type in Google, let's say medical billing services, and it brings up businesses' names, and you can see like the ratings and what they do and their hours and all of that stuff. That is what Google Business is. So I made sure that I have my business on Google Business. And this client that I eventually became a client found me through Google Business, which then led them to my website, which then led them to my free consultation. And so that is how they got to know me. Now, they didn't know me from Adam, from anybody, but they did know that I was located in their area, which I think made them a little bit more comfortable. A lot of times when we search for things, when we search for services especially, we kind of search for them in our area. And so when they search for medical billing services in this area, I popped up. And I also popped up with a few ratings. Now, I don't have hundreds and hundreds of ratings, which I, should get some more. I need to get better with doing that. But with the ratings, along with me being in their local area, along with me being able to give them a free consultation that they can speak to me, where they actually see me, and I can probably go into another video about doing consultations, which I think I also actually have one, but doing consultations, what should be within that consultation, how that consultation can help you, because now they can also see you if you're using something like Zoom or Google Meets, where they can actually see you. It can actually help build that trust that they need to have you do the billing for them. So having an active website that has on, basic information about me and the services that I provide, and a way for them to schedule a consultation, actually helped me land my fifth client. And as a bonus, let me tell you how I got one of my other clients. Now, between my fifth client and this one, there was a couple other ones, but I got them also through referrals, or one of the same ways that I got the other client. But as far as this one that I want to tell you about, it's a little bit unconventional because you might not be doing this, and this was through this YouTube channel. So I got one of my clients through this YouTube channel. And when we spoke about why they came to me, why they decided to see if I would be a good fit for them, they let me know that they watch my YouTube videos and that, this is what prompted them to set up a consultation with me. And you might be saying to yourself, I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm not going to go out there doing those things. But what I want to bring up to you is that when you can bring value to people, whether this is through newsletters, just talking to them, videos, on your social media pages. Now, most of us have some form of social media page out there, right? You might not be on Facebook and Instagram, but you might have a TikTok, or you might have in LinkedIn. You might have something. But being able to give valuable information about a field or an industry that you're in, being medical billing, and being able to help people through this valuable content can always help you to get a client. Now, as you know, with these social media sites, you don't always have to be friends with the people. So you might put out some free information about something with medical billing, and then your friend share it, and then that friend's friend share it, and it gets all over social media. At the beginning, when you were friends with somebody, only your friends saw stuff. But now the world can see that stuff. So just putting yourself out there, giving free, valuable information, that can also help you get clients. I'd love for you to tell me 1 or 2 ways that you're going to use something in this video that you learned that's going to help you to get your client. And I want you to execute it within the next 30 days. You shouldn't just do it once or twice. It needs to be something that is ongoing so that even if you don't get a client within the next 30 days, you'll get one really soon. So remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again in my next video.